Denver police say it worked when they temporarily increased patrols in crime hotspots. So what happens when they end? Coloradans who are going to get stiffed for Xcel rebates get some good news thanks to our Marshall Zellinger.
They terminated in the middle without any warning or notifying anyone until afterwards.
Remembering people targeted for who they were. A community looks ahead with unease.
I always hope every year that we won't have to do this.
And in places in Colorado too small for a food bank of their own, one rolls into town and rolls out the fresh groceries. Tonight, together, we'll help that nonprofit close its budget gap, because you don't just watch, because this is next. Denver police say an obvious approach to crime fighting works. Increasing patrols in high crime areas for a month at a time. Our Mark Salinger looks at what happens in those neighborhoods when the police move on.
You won't notice anything special at intersections like this in Denver. But there's an experiment going on right here.
Year to date, we have a 12% reduction in violent gun crime.
Denver police calls it Hot Streets. It started in July. The department picks a couple of blocks to focus increased patrols on. They also pick a different area nearby to be a control group. Every 28 days, the locations change. They're happening all around the city.
All you really need to reduce crime at individual street segments was a 10 to 15 minute officer presence.
Every 2 hours, officers drive by with their lights on, patrol the area on foot, and talk to people. Police told City Council today they've seen a 40% decrease in violence in the Hot Streets locations compared to the control areas.
Which is great, but it's also what you would be expected if you're spending a lot of officer time at locations.
But what happens when the cops move on?
What do these locations look like when the police back off? Because I think that's a really key question.
We don't have all that data yet. While many crime metrics are down this year all across the city, council members continue to ask for more.
We are seeing an extraordinary uptick in gunshots all over Denver, and I don't know what we do about that.
So again, police acknowledge the obvious here. If you flood an area with more cops, anything but seeing crime decrease would of course be concerning. After the Hot Streets locations change, they focus on gun violence awareness and working with community groups before moving on to long-term projects like organized crime. They say they see a bit of an uptick in crime when they move on, but still see an overall decrease that resonates in areas, Kyle.
How about crime in Lodo? We've talked about Lodo for years. At one point, DPD was blaming the food trucks, like shawarma trucks were out there shooting people. What happened with that?
Yeah, so that's part of DPD's long-term areas that they're continuing to focus on. And part of that is infrastructure. So they're literally going around looking at which light bulbs have burned out on the street lights and saying, oh, we need to fix that. Let's lighten up the area. Dark areas create crime or cause crime. People feel more dangerous there. So those specific things like that, like changing the light bulbs, increasing fencing, things like that, that's also part of this long-term strategy.
Makes sense. I might have changed the light bulb before putting the small businesses out, but okay. All right, Mark, thank you. The Doug Coast School Board is considering pausing an AP African American Studies class. The conservative majority school board, which is at the center of some fierce political fights over the years, has been hearing it from parents who believe that this course teaches critical race theory. The College Board says the course, quote, examines the diversity of African-American experiences, including contemporary challenges and achievement. This is the first year this course is available nationwide. It's already been banned or defunded by school boards in Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, South Carolina. But Colorado's Department of Higher Education says the course, quote, strongly aligns with state standards. The Doug Coast School Board members who support the course pointed to that and also mentioned it's elective, so it's not like kids are being forced to take it. But the school board's conservative majority says it needs more time to research the curriculum after this outside pressure from community members.
I'm not aware that we go into any school and draft people to take an AP class. I'm not aware of any kid who takes an AP class without consulting with their parents. So this is about, in some ways, about parents' rights.
It is our responsibility as board directors to do our due diligence, and I just don't feel like I had enough time to prepare for this. I want to make sure it aligns with our equity policy, just all the concerns that we've gotten from our constituents.
The board will reconsider the course next month. It's the last chance to approve it. in time for students to take it next semester. Volunteer opportunities can be so rewarding. For years, our Marshall Zellinger has volunteered as a customer service agent for Xcel Energy, handling customers' questions and getting them answers when they're getting nowhere with Xcel. Most recently, more than 1,000 low-income customers were told they would not be getting a significant electric vehicle rebate from Xcel until customer service agent Marshall Zellinger got on the line.
Xcel customers helped fill up an EV rebate account with $6 million to help low-income customers afford an electric vehicle. That money was projected to last 3 years. It lasted about 6 months.
This is the Hyundai Ioniq 6.
Adam Griff bought his EV last month. It came with a new registration tag, one that is not yet expired. It came with a $5,000 state tax credit, and Adam was eligible to receive Xcel's $5,500 EV rebate.
The Xcel one definitely, pushed it over the edge in terms of making it more affordable.
Then he got this letter that we told you about earlier this week, the one Xcel sent out to 103 customers, essentially saying the rebate the customers thought they were getting is not coming after all.
They just said we've terminated the program because we've run out of funds.
I've had this for a little over 2 weeks.
Brian Eberly got his plug-in hybrid RAV4, also expecting the Xcel EV rebate.
The extra discount, which basically made it as affordable as either a hybrid or a gasoline-powered RAV4.
Brian shared emails with us showing delays in getting his rebate approved, from application form issues in August to having to resubmit his income verification last month. Ultimately, he applied and was approved for the $5,500 that he does not yet have.
I'm totally in limbo. I haven't received a letter saying I'm not going to get a rebate, and I have not received confirmation that my rebate check is in the mail.
Xcel told me it will cover the rebates for the 103 customers that were notified they would not get it. That's about $500,000. How did Xcel suddenly find $500,000? It has funds for other rebates, like home and public charging stations and school bus electrification. Xcel is allowed to shuffle some of that money around to cover these EV rebates.
One of the other complaints I heard from some of these customers was that the Xcel website was still up showing this EV rebate. It is still up, but now it has a note, this program is currently at capacity, no longer receiving applications. Another piece of feedback we got from some viewers, Kyle, was about how can a low-income customer afford an EV in the first place? This is just a sampling of what low income means in terms of like a family of 4 in Denver. That's a family of 4 that earns $104,000. Mesa County is the third one on here, $75,000. So I think people's perception of what low income, that connotation is much lower than what this program allows.
Yeah, and low income means different things in different contexts. That's really helpful to see it there. I just feel like there's got to be a way when you're dealing with something as significant as a rebate of this size and the purchase of a car that you got to be able to lock it in for people as opposed to just like, well, go buy that car and hope it works out for you, champ.
So there's 2 steps. There's the application process that you submit to a third-party vendor through Xcel, and then you get a response back that says, upload some pay stub information, and then you get, hey, you are approved, now you can submit this. So there are some people who haven't filled out the application, but they got the car. They're not going to get any money. Then you have the people that got that account number that says your rebate's there. These are the people that are like, wait a minute, you said I was getting money.
Excellent customer service work. Again, when your back pay rolls in, you're taking the family on a Hawaiian vacation. Marshall, thank you. A drug manufacturer that makes EpiPens wants a federal court to kill Colorado's price caps on those pens. The state just wants the lawsuit moved to state court. Teva Pharmaceuticals first sued Colorado in 2023 after the passage of a state law capping the price of their EpiPens and other epinephrine injectors at $60 for a 2-pack. That's 80% off what the company normally charges. The state law allows pharmacies to bill insurance companies or manufacturers to make up the difference. Teva's asking a federal judge to overturn the law, says it's an unconstitutional taking by the government. Yesterday in court, Colorado argued the law should stay put and that Teva should just seek reimbursement through state courts. The judges didn't issue a ruling. They seem kind of skeptical of Colorado's arguments. The judges on the panel asked whether upholding the state law would just force the drug manufacturer into an endless cycle of seeking reimbursements. This state is fortunate to be served by hundreds of wonderful food banks, big and small, in urban, suburban, rural areas. Yet hunger persists, especially in pockets of communities that are hard to reach. That's why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports Care and Share Food Bank's mobile markets. They roll out day after day to senior centers in Colorado Springs. They go into mobile home parks in Pueblo, out to small map dots on the Eastern Plains, and they go up into mountain towns. They stop in places that are miles away from the nearest grocery store or food bank, and they offer a place for people to come out and stock up on the essentials, including fresh produce. Care and Share Food Bank, if you're not familiar, they are to southern Colorado and eastern Colorado what Food Bank of the Rockies is for the Denver metro area in northern Colorado. They are a big operation, and the mobile markets are just one piece of what they do. But they've had to cut some out of that budget, a fairly significant part, to stay within their means this year. I would say it is the kind of funding, the amount that you all together raise with some regularity. So that's where every dollar from this campaign will go. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get the link to donate to support these mobile markets. Your $13.7 million in microgiving proves how small donations add up. So as always, I'll match the first 50 people in the door with $5 to get us rolling. And more than 3,600 of you have signed up to simplify your giving and sustain what we do here together with a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. It means we've started recent weekly campaigns with about $25,000 to give. You can use that same QR code or text to get there. If the states along the Colorado River can't stop squabbling over their share, the feds are going to step in, and then there's a good chance no one's going to be happy. And a community that is often under attack takes a day to remember those they've lost. That's next. The states that share the Colorado River have spent decades disagreeing on the best way to divvy up that dwindling supply. And there's only a few more months to come to an agreement. If there's no deal by March, the federal government gets to decide the rules of the river for years to come. And the feds spelled out their plans today. The U.S. Bureau of Reclamation has offered up 5 proposals for a long-term river management plan after the current agreement expires in 2026. One of the plans is pretty close to the current agreement, which guarantees releases from Lake Powell and Lake Mead no matter how low those reservoirs get. It leaves the major lower basin water states, think Arizona, California, on the hook for more cuts. But the majority of the proposals require all of the states in the river basin to make cuts during dry years. And that could mean less for Colorado. It could draw water out of Colorado's Blue Mesa Reservoir. Colorado's water leaders have opposed those options in the past, pointing out that our state doesn't use as much water as those downstream states. So we wait and see if they can reach a deal. Kathy Saban, it was Senator Hickenlooper was recently saying either we can reach a deal or we can sit around and we can sue each other while the river runs dry, because we know where things are trending.
Or we can sit around and wait and see what Mother Nature does this winter, and maybe that will have an impact. The way that the severe weather trend has been going across the continental U.S., the weather extremes have been so dramatic. It's certainly possible we could have a lot of water coming into Colorado in the form of snow this winter. And 15 degrees is where we started this morning. We talk about snow, and now we talk about cold. The coldest temperature since mid-March. And then we warmed into the lower 50s this afternoon. Lighter winds along the foothills, but still something to track. We're not dealing with the blowing snow that we saw last night. And there's the chance for colder weather and perhaps some snow for Thanksgiving week. Temperatures have cooled back to the mid-30s. Sun setting now about 4:39. The winds are still pretty gusty over some of the higher passes, and we're in between storm system, this powerful bomb cyclone with record low barometric pressure tapping into that atmospheric rivers, bringing record rain and snow to the Pacific Northwest. This is the system approaching Colorado, but it will not move into our state in the same shape and strength that it is in the Pacific Northwest. We have a comfortable evening with temperatures in the 30s and fair skies. A warmer day tomorrow, sunshine and 58. We move into the 60s for Friday and Saturday. A prolonged period of snow for the mountains Sunday to Tuesday, and maybe a few snow showers in Denver early next week.
Really try to uplift folks. I really encourage folks to take pride in who they are and all aspects of who they are.
In a time of uncertainty for the trans community, take a moment to reflect on those they've lost and their hope for the future. I want to give you a heads up for tomorrow. Next is going to be streaming only on 9 News Plus tomorrow because the Avs will be playing on 9 News. Should mention, you can catch us any weeknight just like you catch us here over on 9 Plus. But tomorrow night, we're just on the streaming channel. Today is a day of remembrance for the transgender folks who were killed because of who they were. Our neighbors at the Center on Colfax are among those who dream of a day when no one in our community or anywhere is targeted for violence because of their identity.
It's saddening to see the ongoing violence targeting trans and gender diverse folks. So the altar is a series of pictures and names of individuals who have died due to anti-trans violence. Currently there are 33 names that we are recognizing this year. Hi, I'm Sable Schultz. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a queer trans woman. I'm the Director of Transgender Services at the Center on Colfax. So as a trans person in the United States right now, I'm very concerned about what the long-term repercussions are going to be. There's definitely a lot of anti-trans rhetoric, plans in place to target trans and gender diverse folks, to restrict our access to health care, to gender affirming care, to even being able to use restrooms, to have our identity documents updated. I'm very fortunate to be in Colorado. We have a lot of strong protections here. Anytime we make strides, there's always going to be a little bit of a pushback, but every time that brings us together, it helps us become stronger because we start to recognize where the extra work needs to be done, and it pulls us all together to make that work happen. So many trans folks are operating with so much stress and so much trauma in our lives. We need folks to support us. We need allies. We need everyone to come together and remind us that we're part of your family too.
The center is hosting an event tonight, 7 o'clock at the Tivoli in Denver, for people to gather and remember those who are lost this year. We are back with your feedback and how together we're helping to feed folks in rural Colorado. Next. Care and Share Food Bank fills a lot of the smaller food banks all throughout southern and eastern Colorado, some mountain towns too. And for the communities and neighborhoods too isolated to have their own food bank, that nonprofit rolls in with their mobile markets, big truck that they pull up to senior housing complexes in the city and small towns on the plains. They've had to cut their budget for that a bit this year, and it's a gap that I hope that we might be able to close together. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491. You can give just this one time to Care and Share's mobile markets, or you can sign up to make a monthly donation to support each Word of Thanks nonprofit without having to put in your info over and over again. And hey, quick reminder, tomorrow night, Next will be streaming only on 9 News Plus. The Avs will be playing here on 9 News at that time. This is a good moment to mention, you can catch us any weeknight streaming on 9 News Plus. If you watch us there tomorrow night or anytime, let me know what you think of the streaming experience and how we might improve it for you. Speaking of meeting us where we each are, a note from Jeremy, from Jer, who says, would love to see you on Blue Sky. If you're not familiar, Blue Sky is kind of like what Twitter used to be, looks the same, functions about the same, and a ton of people have piled in there in the last couple of weeks looking for a different kind of social media experience. Jer, you can find me there. I've got an account there. Next has set up an account there. We encourage you to interact with us there. I have no idea if Blue Sky is going to turn out to be a thing, but any place that people are gathering for productive and good faith conversations, we want to be a part of it. And I do not see that happening for Twitter or X in the near future, at least. We'll see you next time.